Well, here we are. After 2 years, we've reached the end. The final stretch of this Genlocke project. Before we begin, I want to say thank you to everyone who actually managed to stick with me through all the delays and procrastination with all of these videos, and I hope that in the future we will be able to do more things now that I have a bit more experience, so I can do it at a bit more of a faster pace without issues. No promises though, I am a little bit bad at that kind of stuff. But alright, on to the show. The first of our final obstacles awaits us at the feet of Mount Lanakila, Gladion. Gladion makes for a good warm-up for the battles to come. His team does look really scary at first glance, but let's take a closer look. His Crobat only has Cross Poison and Acrobatics as its 2 attacking moves and no other moves, meaning it can't do much of anything to Rock or Steel types, of which it should have at least one if you don't lose that encounter at a point. And the Electric type also works as it resists Acrobatics, which is the most damaging move of the two. But if you don't have either of those 3 types, you better just bring your strongest physical defender. His Weavile is next on the chopping block. Again, terrifyingly strong physical attacker, but thankfully, 2 of its moves are Ice Shard and Metal Claw, so they will hopefully not deal too much damage. Night Slash, however, is able to chunk a good chunk of Pokemon if they don't resist. Well, good thing that there's a good amount of Dark and Fighting types in the game then. His Lucario is arguably the worst Pokemon Gladion has, with only Aura Sphere, Quick Attack and Metal Claw at its disposal. If you route your encounters correctly, which you should, you'll have a Ghost type ready to blank most of what Lucario wants to do, and you might even force Gladion to use the C-move button early. Silvally is without a doubt Gladion's strongest Pokemon, and this is where you should use your C-move. Live one of his moves and retaliate with your strongest move in a turn. Do note that Silvally changes type into the corresponding type your starter is weak to when planning for this battle. With this in mind, there's a couple guaranteed encounters that can make this battle a lot easier for you. Crobat can get walled and chunked by any of the fossil Pokemon you choose to use. If you route your encounters right, like I said, so you can get Wailmer, you're guaranteed to fish up a Delmice in Seafolk Village, which completely neuters Lucario since it can only hit it with one move. And Weavile is actually quite funny, as you can take a Crab Brawler from the berry fields, and as long as it has 66 defense at level 52, it will live even a crit from anything Weavile throws at it, and will KO with close combat in turn. Or you can simply give it a rare candy at the base of the mountain before triggering the Gladion fight at all to evolve it, as Crabominable gets the job done much easier. Silvally, like I said, save your C-move with a Pokemon that is able to take a hit from it, and then retaliate with the nuke button. Also, there is the soft cheat code of Intimidate Gyarados to lower the attack, or Fluffy Beware to half the damage, since they are all purely physical attackers. With that long winded breakdown out of the way, here is how my battle against him went. Gabby tanks and acrobatics and then takes out Crobat with 3 Icicle Spears. Archimedes can only be hit by Lucario's Metal Claw, so it forces Gladion to go for his C-move early. Meanwhile, Archimedes just goes for Spirit Shackle twice to knock Lucario out. Antoinette tanks a X-Scissor and retaliates with Teutonic Rage, taking out Silvally. And finally, Lashana just stands in front of Weavile and goes for Drain Punch, knocking it out. With Gladion defeated, we make the quick and hasty trip up the mountain, grabbing the Icium set, the final set crystal, on the way, and once we reach the Pokemon Center, we come faced with the last rival obstacle in the form of How. How is a bit more straightforward to talk about, so this section will be quicker than Gladion. His Alolan Raichu remains a speedy, special attacking murder machine. It having Thunderbolt and Psychic is strong as it is, but the fact that he has Focus Blast is what makes this battle against the Raichu that much more difficult, as it can hit more things super effectively, if the move hits at all. The evolutions are here just to try to stall your starter most of the time, but all 3 of them can easily be answered. Not to mention they heavily focus on debuffing your physical attack, so use special attackers to put them in place. Komala is deceptively strong, 115 base attack is nothing to scoff at, and neither is Sucker Punch, Earthquake, Shadow Claw and Wood Hammer as a moveset. But it is a physical attacker, so you know what that means. His starter is the C-move fodder. Blast it away with your strongest super effective move, don't let them do anything to you. This is generally the tip for any ace at this point, I guess. Just like with Gladion's Lucario, Delmice is a guaranteed encounter that you can use to take on Raichu. Just teach it Shadow Claw first to make sure you knock out the mouse. Komala you can evolve by using the static Alolan Executor you got on Executor Island. Nuke his starter with a super effective C-move like previously mentioned. As for his evolutions, Leafeon is similarly evolved by Alolan Executor just like Komala. Flareon both gets debuffed and can't do much to Gyarados, while Dhelmise also works wonders on Vaporeon. For my battle with Hao, I made sure Antoinette held a Choppleberry just in case the worst case scenario happened, and we did get close, but Antoinette retaliates on the Raichu and knocks it out. Gabby comes in and takes care of Komala with Iron Head after tanking an Earthquake. Lashana wills Flareon down with Rock Slide before pulverizing it with Hydro Pump right afterwards, and finally Archimedes slices Primarina to Kingdom Come with Leaf Blade. With both Gladion and Hao defeated, it was now time to make the final little bit of prep and head on to challenge the Alolan League. Originally, I was going to go in depth about each of the Elite Four members and their Pokémon, but I ended up realizing that would bloat this video up a bit too much, especially with all the still images and slides and theoretical teams to use. Maybe some other time, but not today. We have a project to end, so here it is, the final lightning round. Since you can decide which order you fight the Elite Four, I start by going up against Olivia. Archimedes one-shots her pathetic Relicanth with Leaf Blade, and because her Lycanroc insists on attacking him with a super effective move instead of her C-move, I'm free to click Bloom Doom and destroy her Lycanroc instead. The rest of the battle is basically Lashana styling on the rest of her team, Lashana being the final legacy that is putting in work in this project. Next, I battle against Kahili, who's been MIA for the entire game until this point. Lashana leads this battle, bringing down Skarmory with ease, but not before a layer of spikes gets scattered at our feet. Lashana then has a back and forth with Mandibuzz, with both of us healing up once, but Lashana is the one who wins out in the end. Kahili then sends out her Toucannon and attempts to Beak Blast, but Gabby simply slams down the bird with a Sub-Zero Slammer, knocking it out in one blow. Antoinette then has a little scuffle with her Oricorio after having her attack drop, but the fancy little birdie couldn't win out against the Sandgator. Kahili's Crobat then falls to an Icicle Crash. The third battle is against Acerola and her ghosts. Same song and dance as before, Lashana opens and 2 Scalds is enough to knock out Acerola's Sableye. Her Dhelmise is next, and this is where Gabby shows why she's the queen, living on 1 HP after a special defense drop, and then taking out Dhelmise with an Icicle Crash. Move over Elsa, we stand a real queen in this house. Acerola's Palossand is next, and it gets one-shot by Plum's C-move, done and dusted. Plum then goes on to Shadow Ball her Frost Slash, and finally Antoinette deals with Drift Blim. The only one remaining now is Hala, and I saved him for last because his team ironically gives me the most trouble in theory. Hala's Hariyama starts by dealing a lot of damage to Lashana, but since he used close combat, he decides to switch out and save his bulky friend for later. Archimedes then gets a chance to come in and knock out his Polaret with the solid Leaf Blade. Crabominable is next, and I'm not risking anything against this thing, so I just have Plum go ahead with Shattered Psyche, knocking it into the next dimension. Hariyama then comes in again, and sadly, Lashana gets knocked out by his close combat. I thought Lashana was able to tank an itemless knockoff and close combat after what happened earlier in the battle, but I guess not. Milo comes in next, gets a Quiver Dance boost, and avenges his fallen comrade with an Air Slash. And then Primeape falls. And then Bewear falls. My favorite Pokemon getting its retributions and revenge, finally! Now, it was time. The final battle of the entire Genlocke, which at this point is just a battle that's like a regular Moon Nuzlocke with how this team ended up looking. Schematics. And I will be honest, I was really worried about this battle, because Kukui has Midday Lycanroc to set up Stealth Rocks, and that can severely cripple me in this battle. But, as fate would have it, not only does he not go for Stealth Rock, he also misses Stone Edge on the Queen and gets knocked out with a single Iron Head. And just like that, the entire battle falls into pieces. Antoinette with her Troubleberry tanks a Cross Chop from Incineroar and knocks it out after 2 Earthquakes. Alolan Ninetales sits up a safeguard, but gets destroyed by the Queen's Iron Head as well. Snorlax turns out to be a tanky adversary, dealing damage to both the Queen and Archimedes, but the latter wins out in the end. The Queen then takes out Breviary with an Icicle Crash, leaving Kukui with his Magnezone, whom he tries to keep alive as it continues to get crushed by Antoinette's Earthquakes, until he runs out of healing items, and then the run was complete. 2 years in the making, and we are finally done. With over 320 Pokemon caught and transferred across 7 generations, through ups and downs, through Pokémon that feels like a cheat code to being cheated by the AI. This project had a lot, and so much more that I can't even put into words to explain everything. To be honest, I am not sure how to properly end all this. It was just a fun project to challenge myself and try to use some different Pokémon for a change, and now here we are. I guess the only thing left for me to say is thank you for all your support, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all again very soon. Claw signing out. Have a good one.